Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah and I'm sorry that it's so dark in here. It's winter in Canada, so it's dark all the time. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 ways to stay motivated as an artist. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe for more content, then please feel free to do so. Alright, so let's face it, it's hard enough to stay motivated as an artist, and throughout your career you're probably going to experience a lot of rejection. Here are 5 tips to kind of make that process a bit easier. Tip number 1 I have is don't take things personally. 9 times out of 10, it's not a personal process for jurors and curators, so don't take it personally. Also, if you live in a big city, there's that much more competition that you have to deal with, so just keep that in mind. Something that I actually feel like helps me when I get rejected from something is to identify exactly why I didn't get an opportunity. So let's say hypothetically you apply to a group exhibition and you didn't get in. I would encourage you guys to go to that exhibition and to look at all of the artwork there and ask yourself, would my work fit in with all of this artwork? Maybe there's like an aesthetic link between all of the artwork that your work was lacking, and that's why your work didn't get chosen for the exhibition. Another thing that I think is actually really helpful is to read other artists' statements. It was kind of hard to say. Read other artists' statements and see what they're talking about. I know that I learned a lot from reading other artists' statements, and I think it's actually really helpful to look at what other artists are saying about their work and kind of learn the type of language that they're using, learn the vernacular of how to write an artist statement. It's really important, and obviously curators and jurors look at that stuff. To kind of go off that point, another thing to look at is like the content of the work. So this may seem obvious to some people, but maybe it's not obvious to other people, but look at the content. So if all of the artwork is talking about environmentalism and your work talks about identity, that could be a reason that you didn't get into the exhibition. You know, you have to kind of think about the type of content that you're submitting for each exhibition or each opportunity, and would it suit what they're asking for. Think about also tailoring your work to specific galleries. So let's say you're a figurative artist and you're applying to an abstract gallery. I would say don't do that because your work is not going to get selected and you're going to kind of waste your time a little bit. Find the gallery that suits you. Don't change your work to fit into a gallery, just find the gallery that you're meant to be in. So a gallery that does show figurative work, and also, you know, a gallery that, you know, it shows the same concepts that you're interested in. Think about those things when you're applying to shows or exhibitions or opportunities. Think about, would my work fit into this? Does it suit this? If you still don't understand why you didn't get into an exhibition, like you're not always going to be able to identify it. Something else maybe is like it could just come down to the execution. I think like it's important to recognize where you are technically and be okay with it. So other artists may be technically better than you, but that just means that you have to work harder. And that's the fun part of art, is to kind of hone your skills and develop your skills. So if you go to an exhibition and like the exhibition that you applied for, that you got rejected for, and you feel like all of the work is better than yours, don't get down about that. Just see it as a challenge. Just shift that in your head to see it as something that you need to work harder on and you can do it. Whatever the reason is that you didn't get an opportunity, just don't take it personally. Identify the issue if you can and apply again next time. Tip number 2 I have is to believe in your work. If you don't believe in your work, it's going to be that much more difficult to convince other people to believe in your work. If you genuinely don't like what you're doing, that's the perfect time to switch up what you're doing. So I would encourage you guys to experiment. And if you feel really reluctant to experiment, then you need to experiment. If you only work from found images, then try taking your own references. If you are an abstract artist, then try working figuratively, or vice versa. Maybe try some supplies that you've been really interested in trying, but you never have, or a technique that you've never tried before that you've wanted to try. Sometimes I feel like artists, they fall into a rut where they've perfected what they do so they don't experiment anymore. They almost in a weird way like kind of hate their work, but still keep making it. Your work shouldn't feel like this burden to make. Like you should experience a lot of different things when making your work, but I also feel like in there somewhere you should be having fun and like what you're doing. So if you really genuinely you don't like it, but you're just doing it because you don't know what else to do, then you need to experiment. You need to try new things. This experimentation doesn't need to lead to anything. You don't need to have a finished product at the end of it. I think artists put too much pressure on themselves to come up with a finished product and to be posting all the time. You don't have to do that. Literally tell yourself that you're not going to show anyone your experimentation. You're just going to make something, and whatever comes of it is whatever comes of it. If you're not giving yourself that freedom to play without consequence, then your process is gonna just stay the same. You're gonna remain stagnant. You're not gonna be challenging yourself and your artwork. And I don't think you're really gonna enjoy it. And I feel like that comes across to curators and jurors. You really don't like something. It's so obvious. That you didn't want to do it. I also think that artists that take that time to play around are way more successful than artists that don't take that time. If you're not taking that time, you're just gonna end up falling into the same routine over and over again, and then kind of asking yourself why. Why haven't you developed your work? Why isn't it changing? I think, it's important to take those steps to do something new. And even if you don't like the experiment you made, then just make more. Keep going. Don't just be like, I made something bad and that's the end of that. No, you have to keep going, keep experimenting, make some time daily if you can to just, or weekly, whatever your schedule allows. Just take the time to kind of explore new avenues. I find that if people believe in their work, they believe in their concepts, they like their process, they're less likely to really feel that rejection when it comes their way because they like what they're doing. They're not going to change what they're doing because they genuinely believe in it. Yeah, it's a long-winded way to say if you don't like what you're doing, change it, and the change could be for the better. Tip number 3 I have is to step away. If you really feel like you're getting affected by rejection, then I think that you probably need to take a break. If you're making work and all you can think about is how bad of an artist you are, and of course you didn't get that opportunity because you're not good at art, that's going to start affecting your work, and it affects your mindset towards art and towards applications. You're not going to keep wanting to apply to things if you have a negative mindset of, oh, well, that just proves that I suck. If you're feeling this way, just take a few days away, do something that you really enjoy doing. Go to a movie, hang out with your friends and family, read a book, whatever that is for you. Just take the time to kind of process what you're feeling instead of more dwelling in what you're feeling. You can do other things to process it so that you're not fully focused on being disappointed or feeling negative towards yourself. I think it's important to take the time to kind of do something else that's maybe not art related so that you don't take it so seriously. Take your work seriously, of course. Make the time for your work, schedule your work in, love what you're doing, but don't take it seriously in a way that's detrimental to you and to your work. Tip number 4 I have is to have a support group. So if you went to art school, then you probably already have this group. If you didn't go to art school, then you need to find this group. Find people who are in the same boat as you. People who are consistently applying for things, people who are active in the art world. If you don't have this group, then it can feel really lonely and like a really isolating experience. You can think that you're the only person experiencing rejection, and it's kind of hard to just go through that alone. So I would really recommend, it does help a lot to have a group of people around you going through the same thing. I know that when I went to school and I would have a bad critique, I would literally like run to my friends to kind of like talk about it afterwards, because it made me feel so much better. And if they had a bad critique, they would talk about it too, you know? And in that way, you can kind of support each other and help each other through that. So again, for the people who don't have that group, I would recommend going to shows and meeting people. That can seem scary. It's not as scary as it seems, I promise you. If you're more introverted, then bring someone who is more extroverted. Maybe they're not in the arts, just a friend that you have that is a bit more extroverted to make that process a little bit easier for yourself. Tons of people have had rejection in their lives. Tons of really successful people have had rejection in their lives. If you're not applying for things, you're not going to get rejected, which, you know, that's great. But if you're not applying to things, you're also not going to get accepted to anything. You're not going to have those moments of, you know, celebration. So yes, rejection is really hard to deal with, but at the same time, it's better to apply for something and try than not apply at all. My last tip, and probably, well, I think my most important one, is to remind yourself the reasons why you started doing art. So for the people out there who are for some reason doing art for the money or the fame, you are going to be very disappointed. Artists usually don't make that much money. Artists usually actually lose a lot of money in their life through application fees, through your materials, through your time. It's not something that people normally go into for monetary gain. I know that for myself, I would still be making art if I never made a dime. And understanding that for me was huge. I just started doing art because I enjoyed it. I still enjoy it. It makes me happy. And your reason can be as simple as that. It can be that it makes you happy, or whatever your reason is. I think, yes, artists should be paid for their time, for, you know, their work, but it's not gonna happen for everyone, unfortunately. There's gonna be some people out there who you will try and you may not make a dime from your work. You may not make any money. And I think something to ask yourself is, would you still do it if you never received any recognition or any money? And if the answer is no, then you're probably in art for the wrong reasons. If the answer is yes, then congratulations. It's really difficult to be an artist and accept that part of it. I think like it's positive to let yourself know that you are in it for the right reasons. Even if you don't make any money, it's okay. Like, you are still an artist as long as you keep making work. That's the thing that makes you an artist. You're not an artist just because you sell something. You know, that's not the defining factor. The defining factor is that you make work. That's what makes you an artist. All right, so those are my tips when faced with rejection. I'd love to hear what you guys do. If you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, then subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. It's like the same guy walking by my window. I don't know why I'm so scared of people, like knowing that I have a YouTube channel. I don't know. Okay, let's get back into it.